Hey guys, Loremaster here, and before the video I just wanted to quickly mention that the official Loremaster Patreon page and Discord are now live, and you can find links to both in the description. It's a great community and there are tons of Minecraft and Java developers just waiting to help you on your projects. Hey guys, Loremaster here, and welcome back to another Minecraft modding tutorial video for Minecraft 1.12.2. In this episode, we'll finally be getting to tools, and we'll be doing this using our custom Ruby item that we used earlier. And before we start, just one thing I want to quickly mention is that it's very important that you don't skip around in this video, because while it might seem like a lot of our code is copy and pasting in this specific episode, there are subtle nuances between the different tool types, specifically between the axe, the spade, also known as the shovel, and the sword. So make sure you're paying attention between those two parts. But otherwise, let's get right into it. Alright, so first thing we want to do is go into our init package over here in our com.loremaster.tutorialmod. So come over here and you should find your mod items class. And if we double click this should be where our our items that we made earlier on in the series, they should be inside of here. Our ruby and our obsidian ingot in this case. And before we actually make our tools, we need to make a material type. So if you just make a little indent up here and add a / and just put materials. So if you don't know, the / represents just a note, so this is just kind of like a side note for yourself. And right below here, we're gonna actually make a material. So type public static final, and this is gonna be a tool material. And we're gonna name this one, in this case, I want it to be the Ruby material, because we're gonna be making a set of Ruby tools. So I'm gonna put in all capitals, material _ Ruby. So just replace the Ruby with whatever item you're using to make your tools out of. And this is going to equal a enum helper. And you're going to want to type dot add tool, and then you should see add tool material with all these different, it should be a ton of different inputs. Just double click that and we will fill all these in later, but add a semicolon at the end of this. And this is going to actually make your material. So our material in this case is material _ Ruby. And first thing, import tool material. So hover over this and import from net.minecraft.item.item and just save real quick. So in terms of all these different inputs, let's go through them. So this is sort of going to determine how effective your tools are inside of the Minecraft world when you're using them. So think of the differences between stone tools and diamond tools, and how how efficient diamond tools are and how much longer they last. This is going to be the same sort of idea. So you might be like, oh well, I have no idea what the different values are for that. That's no problem at all. You can actually hold Control on your keyboard and hover over tool material, and if you click on it, you should come up to this page, and over here you can see all those values actually already input for their respective vanilla game items. So this is the diamond, for example, material, and these are all the values, and they're in the same order as it is set right here. So before we do all that, we're gonna set a name. So instead of name here, just delete that and put two little quotation marks, and inside of here I'm just gonna name it material _ Ruby. Same as our variable name, except on like lowercase. And for harvest level, so in order to determine this, we're gonna go to our tool material class here. And so for these specific Ruby tools, I want them to have the same strength as a diamond tool, but I want them to have the same durability as an iron tool. So same strength as diamond, but they last only as long as iron does. So in order to do this, we're going to copy all the values except for the max uses. In that one, we're going to put iron instead of all the diamond ones. So for harvest level, this is going to be, we're going to copy the diamond one, which is 3 here. So just put 3 there. This determines, if the tool is able to harvest a specific ore based on what level it is. Then for max uses, like I said, I want it to last as long as an iron tool. So I'm going to copy the 250 here from the iron and put that into max uses. And for efficiency, I want it to be as strong as diamond tools. So I'm going to copy the 8.0F here. And by the way, don't feel like you're locked into these specific values that are listed in this tool material class. You can change them to whatever you want, high and low as you want, as long as they're whatever you want your specific tools to be. So but yeah, going off that, I want the same thing here, my diamond attribute for damage. This is how much damage it will do, and for enchantability, same thing, just same thing as diamond. And there we go. So if we save, this is now our completed material. So whenever we create a Ruby tool, we'll be assigning our material Ruby to it, which will give it these attributes, and which will tell it to do this much damage or be that effective against certain blocks. Okay, so next we actually have to make the tools themselves. So you can close out this tool material for now. And down here, below items, we're gonna make a new category. So just make a couple spaces and do // items, and this is going to house, or not items, sorry, we already did that, tools, there we go, and this is going to house all of our tools. So below here, first thing we're going to make is a sword, because that's kind of the easiest, most basic. So just type public static final, and for the sword object we're going to be using a class called item sword. So item sword, and then I'm going to name it ruby underscore sword. So ruby underscore sword in all capitals because it is a final, and this is going to equal new, and we're going to make this class ourselves, but just name it tool sword for now, and two parentheses, sorry, not quotation marks, and inside of here we're going to add two attributes. So for the name, it's going to be ruby underscore sword, just like we did with our items. Make it the same as this right here, except lowercase, and then comma. And this is where we're going to set our material, so material underscore ruby, or you can just copy it from up here, and a semicolon. So there should be a couple errors here, and that's to be expected, so save real quick. But first you're going to want to import item sword, so import from net.minecraft.item, and then we're also going to have to create the tool sword class. So before we do that, we're actually going to make a new package. So I know there's a lot of steps, but come over to your let's say, I believe it's items. Yeah, come to your items package right here, and right click on it, go to new package, and right after the dot items, add a dot, and this one's going to be called tools. So if we press finish, we'll see that we have our tools package inside of our items package, and this is where our tool classes are going to be. So inside of tools, you can right click, new class, and we need to make a tool sword class. So if we tool sword in there and finish, and we go back to mod items and we save, we might have to import it. There we go. Make sure to import it from your tutorial mod.items.tools, and that should give us an even bigger error, but that's because we haven't set these values yet. But just know that you've made the class, so that's all that's important for right now. So you can save real quick. Now go to your tool sword class, and inside of here we're going to actually paste the exact same code that we have inside of our item base. So if you come over to your item base class over here in items, double click that, you can actually copy and paste all of this code right from the bottom up to here, right up to the public class. Don't copy this part up here, but copy up to the constructor, the public item base. You can right click and copy, and go back to your tool sword and make a little space and control V or right click and paste. And you're going to get a ton of errors. Don't worry, we're going to fix all of this. So first thing we need to do, replace item base with tool sword. So you can just control C, control V. So it should say public tool sword instead now. That should get rid of that. And we also need to do a couple other important things. So tool sword, like we said here, it's an item sword. It's a polymorphic object. So we need to make sure that it extends item sword. So tool sword up here in public class extends item sword. And one more thing we need to do is give it the little method we have set here in our interface. So it's going to also implement. So implements iHasModel. If you remember that from our blocks and our items, same idea. So make sure to import iHasModel and import item sword from net.minecraft.item. And if you save, we should have all of this except for one more thing. We're going to also have to set our material. So in order to do that, come back to your tool sword and make a little comma after your string name inside of the constructor, and put tool material, and then just call it material. And this should, if we save one more time, I think, oh, we also have to add a super. That was my fault. Just add a super here with parentheses and material. And this is going to call it from the class that it's extending, the item sword. But if we save, that should get rid of all the errors. This is all you really need. It's pretty simple. And if we go back to our mod items, there should be no errors. So now technically the item itself is actually working and inside of the game. But we do still need to texture it. So in order to do that, we're going to have to do that god-awful, JSON thing that we always do. So first off, go over to your over in your assets.tm inside of your resources folder, and go down to models. And you should see, your item down here, your item package. And this is where we have our Ruby block, Ruby, and, that obsidian ingot JSON that we made earlier. So inside of here, right click, new, and untitled text file. And we're actually going to copy and paste the same exact code that we have inside of our ruby.json. So go over to your ruby.json, double click that, just copy and paste all of that into your untitled. And instead we're going to change a couple things. So keep the TM, which is your mod ID right here, and keep the items, but instead of Ruby, you're going to add the name of if we go to mod items here, you're going to add the name of the tool that you have right here. So Ruby_sword. So I'm going to put Ruby_sword. And instead of item/generated, get rid of the generated, and we're going to put handheld. This should make it a handheld item. And if we save this, we can name it Ruby_sword. Same as, and make sure this is really important, it's the exact same as the item name itself. So Ruby_sword.json. And tutorial mod, source, main, resources, assets, your mod ID, textures, models, and item. And you can press OK, and it should pop up right here. We can get rid of this and open it back up again, and we should have our Ruby_sword JSON. And now we just need to actually put the texture inside of our package. So if we go back to our desktop here, I have a couple textures already made. If you need help making textures, I will link a video in the description on how to easily make textures with free software, but I will be covering how to do it with Photoshop very soon, so look out for that. For now, I have a couple pre-made right here. I'm gonna go to my Minecraft modding folder. Here, I'll just bring this over for easier viewing purposes. Tutorial mod, source, main, resources, assets, your mod ID, textures, items, and drag your Ruby_sword into here. Another thing to note, make sure that your texture is named the exact same thing that we have here in Eclipse, right here, Ruby_sword. Same with your JSON, they all have to be named the same thing for it to work properly. So make sure, very important, and if we plop it in there and we close out of this and we run the game, it should be working. So we're gonna go into the game and make sure real quick. Alright, so we're inside of the game and we can open up our creative inventory here. If we go to our search items and scroll all the way down, we should see, oh, there we go, hold on. We should see our little item right here, our ruby sword. So it is actually in the game and working. We don't actually have a name set for it, but we'll do that at the end when we have all of our tools set so that it's a lot easier. But just know that it does work, and we can swing with it and throw it on the ground. And if you check here, like I said, I wanted it to have the same damage output as a diamond sword, but with the durability of an iron sword. So we can check here, you can see diamond has 7 attack damage, and here we have also 7 attack damage. So that is working correctly, and you can all, of course, kill anything with it, and it should act just like a regular sword. So yeah, so now we know that our items are actually working in game, and now we can add the rest of the tools relatively easy. Okay, so we're back in Eclipse, and now that we know how to do that basic, creating a tool, I'm going to go a little bit faster just so, the video isn't super long, but it's generally the same idea except for a little small few differences here and there, but it's pretty much the same idea. So next we're going to make a shovel. So come down right below your sword, just make a public, static, final, and this is going to be an item spade. Make sure it's not item shovel, it has to be item spade. Minecraft specifies that. And I'm going to name it Ruby_shovel. This is going to equal a new tool spade. Remember, tool spade, not tool shovel. 2 parentheses and quotation marks. And inside this, just Ruby_shovel. And a little comma after that. And again, material_Ruby. Setting the material and a semicolon at the end. And we need to import item spade from net.minecraft.item, and we need to make our class tool spade. So we can do that in our tools package over here. So right click in your tools package, new class, and like I said, it's tool spade. So tool spade, press finish, not okay. And we can get rid of the item base for now, but this is going to be pretty similar to the tool sword. Before we copy and paste anything, make sure that your tool spade, it should, I believe it is, what did we set it here as? An item spade. So this needs to extends item spade. And it also needs to implement. So implements I has model, like we did before. And make sure to import item spade and import I has model. And just make a little space here and copy and paste everything from sword, tool sword. And oh, there's a little extra space there. And if you copy and paste it right into here, and one last thing we need to do, instead of tool sword right here, just copy and paste this tool spade or type it in yourself and change it to tool spade. and that should get rid of all the errors, and if we save, that should be our shovel pretty much done. So this is a similar idea for all the tools. It's a little bit different for an axe, which you'll see in a second, but it's pretty much the same idea. So if we go over here, there should be, and we need to import, so tool spade import from your mod, and save. And once again, come down to your item, down here in your assets, your item package, and right click, new, untitled text file, and you're gonna also double click your ruby_sword. Just copy and paste everything from your ruby_sword into your untitled. And instead of ruby_sword, just put ruby_shovel. Again, make sure it's not ruby_spade. We're just doing that for the, if we go back here, we're just doing that for the actual class, not for the actual variable type. So, or not type, sorry, the variable name. So ruby_shovel in our untitled. And we can save that as ruby_shovel, remember not spade, .json. And inside of our mod, source, main, resources, assets, mod ID, models, item, and we can press OK. And if we get rid of both of these, I just closed out my package. There we go. And this, let's get that back here. There we go. Close both of these, and we can double click ruby_shovel, and it's all working here. So we close out of that, close out a sword, and have tool spade here. Last thing we need to do is drop the texture itself into the actual package. So come back to your desktop, open up that that textures folder you have, and drop your ruby_shovel with the same name. And if we launch the game, it should be working and inside of the game. Alright, so here we can see, if we go into our creative menu, that our shovel is in fact here. Again, both of them are still unnamed, but we're going to do that at the end just for convenience. But if we switch to game mode 0, we should be able to see that on blocks like this, it won't actually do much. We'll need a pickaxe in order to affect this, but on dirt and stuff that a shovel would normally break, it should be working as normal. So yeah, now that we know that that's working, we can move on to our next tool. Alright, so on to the next tool. We're going to do a pickaxe. So at this point, you can pretty much just copy and paste this whole line. Now that we know what we're doing, we can just copy and paste. I was just typing it out for learning purposes, but instead of item spade, change it to item pickaxe. Pretty self-explanatory. And instead of tool spade, just tool pickaxe. And of course, change ruby_shovel to ruby_pickaxe, and ruby_shovel here to ruby_pickaxe as well. Keep the material though, and import item pickaxe. And we're gonna make our class here tool pickaxe. So go over to your tools package over here again, right click, new, class, tool, pickaxe, and finish. And inside of here, once again, we'll be copying and pasting everything from tool spade or your other tool classes. Either will work. Just copy and paste this whole section right here, and paste it right into here. And in order to get rid of all these errors, first we'll be changing tool spade to tool pickaxe, and making sure tool pickaxe extends item pickaxe and implements iHasModel. That interface we made earlier, and import iHasModel. That's weird. I don't know. Oh, well, maybe, I guess we have to import item pickaxe first, and then we can import iHasModel. There we go. And that should get rid of all the errors, and we can save. And our tool pickaxe is now working. Just make sure you import tool pickaxe over here, and that should be working. And then, of course, down here in our item package for our assets, right click, new, untitled text file. You can see how monotonous this gets, but go to your ruby_shovel, copy all this, paste it into the untitled text file. Just change ruby_shovel to pickaxe, ruby_pickaxe specifically, and save. Ruby_pickaxe should be the name, .json, and mod, source, main, resources, assets, your mod ID, models, and item. And press OK. And if we get rid of this and get rid of this and double click, we should see ruby_pickaxe, our JSON is working, and there should be no errors, and it will actually be in the game. In order to save some time, I'm just gonna move on to the next tool because I already know that this is gonna work when we launch it, but we'll test them all out when we finish all of them. So moving on to the next one, we can copy and paste this. And now we're going to do the axe, which is a little bit special, so make sure you're paying attention to this one specifically. Make sure to change ruby_pickaxe to ruby_axe. Same here, instead of pickaxe, item, axe. and instead of tool pickaxe, tool axe. And same thing here, instead of ruby underscore pickaxe, just axe again, ruby underscore axe, and keep the material type. Make sure to import item axe, and make a class for tool axe. So go over to your tools, right click, new class, and just name it tool axe, as we've been doing as standard. And again, as we did before, make sure this one extends item axe, and it implements our interface I has model. And make sure to import item axe and import I has model. And then go over to your tool pickaxe. We're gonna copy all of this, paste it back in. But there is one thing we're going to change. First off, before we do anything, make sure to change tool pickaxe to tool axe in the constructor here. Now, you might think that this would work because there's no errors, but you will actually still get some issues popping up. So a few things that we're going to have to change. You can actually find these inside of the tool axe, but I'll just talk about them real quick. So after the new update, axes actually do damage similar to how swords do damage, and they also have a recharge value that's very similar. So we're actually going to have to implement that into our axe. So you can hold control and hover over tool axe, and you can item axe. And inside of this class, we can see that we have attack damages and attack speeds. So you're going to have to copy one from each of these little array lists. So in this case, it's not very important. You can play around with them. I'm just going to copy the first two values, 6.0f for damage and negative 3.2f for speed. Not very important, but like I said, you can just play around with them, but it is important that you put them in there. Otherwise, it may not actually load your item correctly, and it might crash your whole game. So inside of tool axe, after tool material, just make a comma and add the first item, which should be damages, so 6.0f in my case. 6.0f, comma, and negative 3.2f. And this should have a little error, but don't worry about that. Oh, my bad. You know what? Actually, I totally messed this up. We should not put them inside of here. We actually want to put them in super because we're inheriting them from our item axe. So actually copy and paste these and put them down here instead. That was my bad. Stupid little mistake. Make sure you add a comma. So it should be super material, comma, your damage value, comma, your speed value. And you can leave this untouched, but this should all that you need to change. And if you save, this axe should be working as normal. Okay, moving on to our JSON for the actual axe. So we can close this down, close tool pickaxe, close tool spade. Make sure you go to mod items and import tool axe and import, and we can save. And same thing, go to item, right click, new, untitled text file, go to ruby underscore pickaxe, doesn't really matter as long as it's a tool, copy, paste, and change ruby underscore pickaxe to ruby underscore axe, and save ruby underscore axe as the name, .json, and your mod, source, main, resources, assets, your mod ID, models, item. Press OK, and just double check to make sure that that is okay. Ruby underscore axe here, and that's working great. So we can go over here. Our axe is actually done now, so we can move on to the final tool, which is the hoe. So just copy and paste this into here, and make sure to change item axe to item hoe, ruby underscore axe to ruby underscore hoe, and tool axe to tool hoe, and ruby underscore axe to ruby underscore hoe as well. And make sure to keep the material ruby, and import item hoe if you haven't already. For some reason it's already imported in here, but I'll just get rid of it just so we can do it for anyone who's still confused. It should be like this. There we go. And just hover over it and import. Also import, or not import. Oh, I don't know why I made this all capitals. Do not do that. Tool hoe, and we're going to be making this class right now, so go to your tools, and your tools with all your different tool classes, right click, new class, tool hoe, and once again just copy and paste everything. I'm just going to be doing tool axe here. Before we copy and paste though, make sure it's extending, so extends item hoe and implements I has model, and you can just copy and paste everything from here. Make sure though, if it's the tool axe one, to delete the axe variables right here, the damage and speed. Just make sure it says super material only. And we can import item hoe right here from net.minecraft.item, and I has model as well. And make sure instead of tool axe, it says tool hoe. And if we save, that should be this done. Make sure you import it as well if it's not already. Here we go, import tool hoe. And that should be all the errors gone there. And once again, one last time, inside of our item, inside of the assets.modid, right click, new, untitled text file, and get your Ruby, I don't know, shovel for example, copy and paste. But instead of Ruby underscore shovel, we are going to be putting Ruby underscore hoe. And save once again, Ruby underscore hoe .json in your mod, source, main, resources, assets, your mod ID, models, item, and save. And that's all the JSON's done, so we can get rid of those. Just make sure that it's working. There we go, it is working well. And we can close out all these classes like tool hoe and tool axe. And so yeah, so that's all of our actual tools done and working and inside of the game. Make sure that you come into your desktop, you get your remaining textures for all of them named the same as your item names, and open up your here we go, your items textures folder, and just drop them in there. You should have one for each. Make sure it's very important, or else your game might crash without. It's fine if these don't have textures, but usually the game will crash if a tool doesn't have texture. So make sure you do that. And we can actually launch the game. But before we do that, one last thing, we're gonna actually give them names. So I said I was gonna do this at the end, so go over to your assets.tm and your resources, go to lang, and double click the en_us.lang. And we have our block section here, and we have our item section. Just make a couple spaces, do a // and this is gonna be tools, and we're gonna go through all of them. So item dot ruby underscore sword dot name is equal to ruby sword, and you can just copy and paste these, of course, and change the variable name. So instead of ruby underscore sword, we have ruby underscore shovel, and instead of sword, of course, shovel. And we'll just keep going through this until it's done. So ruby shovel, let's see here, pickaxe. You can see how this can become kind of monotonous, but as long as you're efficient, it shouldn't be a very big problem. Copy this again, and this one will be axe, I believe. Yeah, axe. So ruby underscore axe, and ruby axe. And one more time, except this one's going to be a hoe. And ruby hoe. There we go. And we can see that they're all named here. So inside of the game, they should be fully working and named. So we'll launch the game right now and check that out. Okay, so we're inside of the game, and let's get our remaining tools. So if we go to our, we should be in creative mode. We get our remaining tools from the search menu. You can see here we have our axe, our pickaxe, and our hoe. And let's just test them out real quick. We can see that, we already tested our sword and our shovel, but we can see our pickaxe doesn't really do much on dirt, doesn't really do much on crafting tables, but it does do a lot on things that, should be mined with pickaxes, like this furnace, for example. It also is able to mine these blocks, and you can see that's pretty good at doing that, and it should work just in general as a regular pickaxe. So yeah, that's working. And for a hoe, as normal, you can hoe the ground just as a normal hoe would work, and you can get your axe over here. Just test this out, and you can see here that doesn't, hold on one sec, doesn't work very well on dirt, but it does work very well on tree chopping as a normal axe would do. And like we said before in our axe, let me set this to day real quick, time set day. But like we set in our code, our axe has right here a attack and a speed value, just like our sword, because the new update. So you can see that right here reflected in your actual item itself, and you can see they're all named properly. So yeah, now you have fully working items inside of the game, or fully working tools rather, and I hope that's really helpful for you guys. Really quick, I just wanted to mention that if you've actually seen the crafting recipe video that is on this series that just came out, I'll put a link to it in the description just in case you haven't, but you can actually apply that right now and make custom crafting recipes for your tools. You can do that really simply by just, you know, double clicking on your recipe JSON that you've already made in that video, just copy and pasting it into a new recipe JSON with, you know, Ruby underscore and the name of your actual tool itself, and you know, you can just modify the recipe based on how you would like to craft your specific item. So yeah, hopefully that helps, and that's about it for tools. Thanks guys so much for watching. In the next episode, it'll either be armor or you know, edible food items, so we'll see how that does. But other than that, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.